Next up, we have Bryan Robinson. He's the head of developer relations at Hygraph and has a really awesome talk for you next about picking appropriate federation techniques. Everyone, welcome to the stage, Bryan.
Thanks, Lee, for that intro. And hey, everyone, listen. The past decade has been an absolutely amazing time to be a developer. I've been in the industry for about 17 years now, and the last 10 have easily been the most fun it's been to write code. And that includes writing Star Wars fan sites as a kid. Big reason for this is the decoupling of our back-end systems and the rise of, as Chris Coyer so wonderfully put it, I'm on the wrong slide, the all-powerful front-end developer. I'm not going to lie, though, we may have decoupled things just a little bit too far. The data connection has become much harder. I don't need to tell this audience that GraphQL has been immensely helpful in fixing that issue. If you just look in the past few years at all the new and amazing federation techniques that have cropped up to solve these issues, it's astounding. But how do we choose between all these new tools? Let's talk about various pillars in the federation systems. First and foremost, you don't need a federation technique. If you just have a simple API next to your app's data, just stitch it together with a simple middleware. Your secret's safe with me. I'm not going to tell anyone else in this room. Benefits of this, it's quick, it's relatively simple, but once you get past that first API, it's just spaghetti code all the way down that middleware. This is really only useful for like a proof of concept or when you absolutely know that you'll replace it with a true federation technique later on. Speaking of true federation techniques, let's talk about going in the self-managed route. Sometimes you have a bespoke API and you need a bespoke federation pattern. This is best suited for when your app is super custom, or you have maybe a super stringent security concern, or you have a CTO that has historically been a self-managed fan. I think we all know at least one tech lead like that. If that's the case, toss something like Apollo up on AWS and call it a day. And actually, the next keynote from Yuri is going to be talking about some new open source techniques for this as well. The benefits for this is that you get all of the customization you could possibly dream of. The downside is you have all the customization that you then have to write and host and manage and maintain and worry about in your off hours. This is a great solution for when you have a dedicated backend team and a dedicated infrastructure team as well. But let's assume you don't have both of those things. Service-based might be the way to go here. Maybe you're thinking of hosted Apollo, Tyke.io, graph-based, something along those lines. API services allow for a lot of the benefits of the self-managed approach, but without all that pesky, management stuff. Start up an account, write some code, and you get an API out on the other end. You're going to miss a little bit of the customization you get with self-managed, and you're going to miss managing those servers. But if you're anything like me, you're probably not going to miss those servers. Think of this as a streamlined, self-managed approach. Great for projects with a strong dev team, but maybe not a strong infrastructure team. And speaking of infrastructure, as it turns out, our hosting companies are getting into the federation game as well. Think of something like Netlify with their new Netlify Connect offering. Hosting providers are going to allow for relatively easy data unification for small to medium projects, but they're also going to lack in that customization department a lot as well. Something like a Netlify Connect is going to be amazing for a front-end developer team that wants a unified API, but doesn't actually care how the unification happens. Now, I've said something similar for all of these methods, and that is great for devs, great for front-end, great for back-end, good if you've got an infrastructure team, great for devs. But what if you throw a non-developer into the mix? Federation is all about remixing data in new and meaningful ways. And you know what? Editors want that too, as it turns out. Enter new kid on the block content federation. Content federation is the idea that your CMS can and maybe should be your federation platform as well. The thought here is that you open up access to all the data in your data stack to your editors in your CMS and allow them to do the remixing as well. And then you still get a unified API out on the other end. If you've ever had to maintain a connection between a database or multiple databases and a CMS, you know the pain that Content Federation seeks to solve in this. Benefits on this one, You get a unified API, just like all the other ones, but now your editors get developer-like superpowers as well. Drawbacks to this approach, it's not going to have that much customization, just like the service-based or the hosted. And you know what? If you don't need a CMS, you don't have editors, you probably don't need something like content federation. But the point I want to make in all of this, because I only have 5 minutes, is that in this era, we are 100% spoiled for the choice, which means that we can gauge our project and choose the right technique for our team. If you have a team that's made up primarily of developers, go with a code-based solution. If you're already using Netlify, go with Netlify Connect. That sounds great. If you want your editors to have superpowers like your developers, go with something like a content federation. In this era, we no longer need to reach for the shiniest or the newest or even the most technical tool. I know it's a room full of developers, but not even the most technical tool. What we can do is we can reach for the solution that matches our project best, but maybe most importantly, matches our team the best. So I'm out of time. I'm going to be here at the conference all week. Find me in the Hygraph booth, and thank you so much for your time. I hope you enjoy the rest of the talks.